morning. My name is Megan Edwards of Focus Communications, and today we're getting the latest update from Kuya Silver, which trades on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the symbol KUYA. And joining me is Kuya's President and CEO, David Stein. David, we appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thanks again, Megan. Yeah, glad to be here.
So firstly, congratulations on yesterday's news release where the company intersected some bonanza grade silver grades at your Silver Kings project in Ontario.
Yeah, thank you. We're really pleased about it. We're excited to go forward. I mean, that's really what we've been looking for in the Cobalt camp, and great to find it, see it in the core, and yeah, can't wait to see what else we can find there.
Absolutely. And before we discuss those results, could you introduce us to the Cobalt Mining Camp and your Silver Kings project?
Sure. So we first kind of dipped our toe in the water in the Cobalt district in early 2021, so 2 years ago now. And over several transactions, we've now picked up actually 18,000 hectares of property. You know, kind of stretching from, you know, just south of the town of Cobalt up in the north there, where our Kerr project area is, down about 30 kilometers all the way to the south in the Silver Center area, which we just acquired last week. So, so that's sort of the history of our involvement there. We've done a little bit of work over the last couple years. But really, we've spent a lot of time, you know, just learning about the camp, going through the history, and thinking about, you know, new ways to explore and interpret all the, you know, all the things we're seeing there. You know, the silver veins. How does the cobalt relate to it? You know, the other metals that you sometimes find in the core as well. You know, all the historical mining that's happened. So we've learned a lot about the region. We've really put together, I think, a really strong exploration model. And I think the Campbell-Crawford discovery is the first, you know, step in moving that model forward now into something where we can actually, you know, start drilling resources.
So David, let's talk about yesterday's news release. Could you walk us through the results from these rushed assays and the significance of this new discovery?
Sure. So, you know, we've been doing most of our exploration work to date in the, you know, the Kerr project area, which is, you know, around Kerr Lake. So, you know, I thought, here's Kerr Lake here, this lake-shaped thing, and all the red squiggly lines there are all the veins that have been mined, you know, and known about already. And you're looking at about 60 million ounces produced in that small area, about a kilometer east to west, a little less, and mostly from two mines that were next door to each other, Crown Reserve and Kerr Lake mine. And, you know, we think we found an extension off to the east here, the North Drummond target, which we've talked about in the past. But, you know, we actually decided in this drill program to move the drill up to here, which is Campbell-Crawford, and test another target that we, you know, that our geologists had sort of worked on and developed, and that's where we hit the, you know, made the new discovery. So so that's yeah, so that's where we hit it. And you know, I think you've seen the native silver in the core. We've shown photos about that a couple of weeks ago. Finally got the assays back, the rush assays, just the other day, and you know, it was probably even a little better than I had hoped for. You know, getting, you know, 3 meters of, you know, almost, you know, 2%, or I guess it was 1.68% silver, 16,800 grams per ton, is just extraordinary. You know, we expected the vein itself to run very, very high grades, multi-percent, which it did, but having, you know, even 1% in the wall rock as well next to the vein is really, really encouraging, because it means that there's going to be more to the, you know, what'll be economically mineable than just the vein itself, and that's going to be, you know, really important as we, you know, as we explore this going forward.
And in the release, you mentioned that this is one of the biggest exploratory drill intersections reported within the last 60 years. And you also noted that you're up to 750 meters away from the closest workings. So for our audience, why do you think this area was overlooked?
Well, the story behind the Campbell-Crawford Prospect is really one of I guess what would have been thought of at the time 120 years ago as a failure. So they found some cobalt veins at surface. Picture at the time, there's thousands of people crawling all over the cobalt area looking for silver. And this was one of the properties. And they found some cobalt veining at surface, which at the time, really the cobalt they just used as a pathfinder. They were not really interested in cobalt as a metal, but it could lead you to the silver because they occur in the same veins. So they did a tunnel in the side of this hill. They found the veins underneath in the tunnel, but unfortunately for them, it was still just cobalt, and so they gave up at that time. Now, when we went back and looked at this again with our fresh exploration model, we realized that where they hit the cobalt vein was in the Nipissing diabase sill, and that's not typically a very good host. So we thought, and I'll show you a map in a second, that we thought we should drill deeper, and we could hit something at the contact, and that's indeed what happened. Now, getting back to the Campbell-Crawford area itself, you can see there is a lot of mining that happened to the south in the Kerr Lake area. There was a big mine over here on the other side of this bigger lake. That was a big mine called Deerhorn, and then there was some mining over here as well. But really, in the center area where the Campbell-Crawford Prospect is, there was nothing. So we've actually got a lot of open space here to explore, and that's obviously very exciting, given that we have a better understanding of the exploration model now.
And going back to the release, you only announced a small rushed intersection of results. Can you give us a snapshot of the entire campaign and what the next phase of drilling will look like from Kuya?
Sure. Well, let's look at these maps and talk through that. So, where we hit the best mineralization was with hole number 8. We do believe that we've hit the vein, the Angus vein again, and a couple of other holes as well. So that's good because it's going to show us some geometry of how that vein is oriented in space, and will allow us to, to drill it again. And what we did with this program, we ended up drilling 7 holes. So they're all shown on this map here. You can see the dashed black line is the exploration adit that the guys did in around 1910. So we drilled, deep, obviously a lot deeper than that, and we hit veins in every single drill hole. Not always as spectacular as the Angus vein discovery, obviously, but it's important every time we hit those structures, we can follow them, and there could be a blowout with the high-grade silver in any of those other veins. So when we do eventually put our full results out for the program, we should be able to talk about how many veins we think we have. We should be able to connect them up between drill holes, and there's definitely going to be, we're definitely seeing multiple veins in the system already, which is a good thing because in the most prospective or productive mining areas in the Cobalt Camp, you have these clusters of veins that are close together, and it's not just one isolated vein.
And David, could you wrap things up with why investors should keep an eye on Kuya for 2023?
Well, I think we give investors multiple ways to win with our our exploration in Northern Ontario. We're going to keep working on that and keep generating results. And I think now that we've made the discovery, I think we can actually continue to add value and de-risk that now with further drilling in the second half of the year. So that's an exciting opportunity. And maybe we may even be able to look at some other areas as well. We've got a huge land package there with lots of targets. And then, we'll stay tuned for news about Peru as well. We're still working on, and looking at getting Bethania back into production later this year. And there's a couple of other things we need to do there before we can, formally pull the trigger on that. But it's looking very good, and we're very optimistic that we can move that project forward as well. So, I think we've got near-term production from Bethania in Peru. We've got exploration in Peru as well. A lot of low-hanging fruit there to drill and expand the resources. And then we've obviously got the second project in Northern Ontario, Canada, that adds a lot more exploration sizzle to the company, and diversification in a low-risk jurisdiction as well. I really like, and the cobalt byproduct is kind of a cool element as well, because it's a very favorable thing to have, given all the EV stuff that's going on. It opens us up to possibly getting grants and fast track permitting and stuff like that, that we might not get if it was another project somewhere else.
All right. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a very exciting year, and we'll have to get you on again soon to talk about that, David.
Thanks. Anytime.